Hello, welcome everybody. I'm your host Roger, and my guest here is Alan Tang. Hello,
Hello.
Alan.
Hey,
Welcome.
thank you for
Hello.
having me, Roger.
Yeah, so great to have you. So, Alan is the Director of Operations of Wushu Canada and Wushu Ontario. Alan is recognized in film and television as a stunt coordinator, performer, and action trainer. Wow, that's awesome. As a national team coach and athlete, he led the Wushu delegation at the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games and was a world champion from 1993 to 2001. Wow, what a resume. Congratulations on all that.
Short version, right?
Yeah, there's probably more to that, huh? Thousands and thousands of hours. How would you describe yourself in your own words?
Well, those are basically my own words. But in short, really, I'm placed with the opportunity to develop wushu here in Canada. I've been doing it for the greater part of my life, in the sense of training and coaching. So it's a good opportunity and a very positive opportunity to be able to lead the charge of the growth of wushu, both in our country and as well internationally.
Nice. So can we talk about your kind of career in wushu? How did you get started and all the way to now? What are you doing now for wushu?
Well, basically, I've been in martial arts all my life. My father, Master Sunny Tang, has been teaching traditional Kung Fu since he immigrated here to Canada. Well, basically, I've been involved in traditional martial arts all my life as well, training in arts such as Hung Gar, Choi Li Fat, Praying Mantis. My father was a very open book himself in the sense of um, showcasing a variety of martial arts. Master Sunny Tang has always been in the development of the martial arts in general, not just his own particular style of Wing Chun, but all forms of martial arts. So at an early age, he actually sent me to many different sifus and masters to train under, and that's what got me under it. And as such, myself as a father right now, it's actually, most would attest, it's difficult to teach your own children. So he took that route and gave me those opportunities by really giving me a vast vision of different types of martial arts, training under all different masters. And I can't even count on two hands the number of sifus or masters that I've developed and gained knowledge from over the many years. However, in terms of contemporary wushu, I was introduced to it in when I was 12 years old. At that point, there was no wushu really available in Canada. I was introduced through it from performances by the Beijing Wushu team that was brought over back in the 1980s. And then like many others, when I first saw it, I was very intrigued and really took on a passion for it. Then there was an opportunity where a former Guangdong Wushu champion briefly immigrated to Canada, and I had the opportunity to train under him. And that's what really kickstarted my career in Wushu.
Nice.
From that, it basically took off from there. I indulged into competition right away. Back in the 80s, we learned off of VHS videos and on no online at that time. It was all off of videos and books, actually. And at that point, I got the opportunity to train under different masters out of Vancouver. There was a small group there. And then finally indulged in international training where I trained under the Guangdong Wushu team and as well the Shanghai Sports Institute, where I developed my training.
can we talk about Wushu in Canada? I want to
Sure.
know, like, if you own a school, like, what are the main schools there, I guess? And like, how does your national team train together? How does that all work?
Well, in Canada, like the US, is a very large geographic country.
Mhm.
But unlike the US, which you should be very proud of, is the US has a great abundance of schools, coaches, athletes. In Canada, it's only a handful
Mm.
because there's only, I would say, four major provinces that have wushu programs out of our 11. And within those provinces, there's only give or take 1 to 2 active wushu schools. So
Oh,
you're talking about across Canada, there may be 2, 4, 6, 8 to 10 wushu schools that are active and participate in competition. And out of those 10, I would consider maybe 3 to 5 being high performance schools where you can train at a high performance level on an ongoing basis. So that's where you look at it in the development of the sport and growth of the sport. That's our constraint, is participation, which you have to grow, and coaching, which you have to develop. So in that sense, how do we develop our athletes? It's on a cyclical basis, is that we develop on a cyclical basis what you call the Taolu side, the Sanda side, and the high performance side. So every year in our province specifically, we have different focuses. One is this year is our goal to develop our growth stream, which is our recreational athletes, and increasing the participation numbers in the sport. And then taking that to our following year's commitment of then growing our athletes from a, because we run under the National Coach Certification Program, there's terms that I use, a learning to train segment versus a training to train segment versus a training to compete segment.
mm.
We go through these stages in development of our athletes, and you'll see how we grow the sport over a 5-year cycle. And every 5 years, we go through these cycles in our development.
Wow.
To grow the sport. It's very, very systematic.
Love that.
And right now, when you kind of understand it, we're in a maintenance mode for our high performance athletes, where we have a group of high performance athletes that represent the country that have developed over the last 5 to 10 years. They're in what we call our maintenance mode, in upkeeping them and developing them.
Mm.
But on the development side, we're training our next path or next group of what you call recreational athletes to amateur competitive athletes to developmental athletes to training to compete athletes. And what you've probably noticed in our last few cycles is the tremendous growth of our Sanda athletes.
Mm.
That is actually our number one focus right now at this particular time, because it goes hand in hand with the growth of Wushu, is that it's much faster to grow Sanda athletes from the developmental standpoint of involving clubs that are not your traditional group of Taolu clubs, but you're developing athletes from traditional Kung Fu clubs, from kickboxing clubs, from Muay Thai clubs, from other MMA clubs, and you're developing their existing skill sets and indulging them and educating them in the Sanda skill set. So that has been our workload, and we've grown on the Sanda standpoint from give or take 5 member clubs probably 6 years ago to a current body of over 40 clubs. So you see, that's where the focus comes from, that once you have the participation numbers, then you go into the high performance development of those athletes. And constantly, that's our job here. is to balance that cyclical and annual development stage amongst the athletes in our country.
Wow. Sounds like you have a great strategy and a clear vision for what you want to go for.
There is, and that is because we're part of our provincial and national sports development program, that we're in charge of developing our sport not only on a high performance standpoint. The government here in Canada, they don't look for that. It's only a small portion of what they're looking for. They're looking at how are you developing sport? How are you growing your sport? How are you being inclusive and creating programs for increasing participation? Because without the fan base or without the participation base, your high performance achievements become meaningless.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such a strong balance between all of those faucets. And it goes hand in hand with coach development, officiating development, and programming development. So we have to look at all of those areas in our sport.
Okay. Sounds good. So do you have a list of, you have the athletes you're sending to the 16th World Wushu Championships?
We do. We definitely do.
Set?
We had that group of athletes actually over 1 year ago, because especially with the pandemic timeline, we actually selected our team at our last national championship, which was in 2022, still early on in the year, because we were focused to creating this Pan American Championship to be very inclusive and Pan Am specific. And it created this opportunity that the Pan Am Championships became a stepping stone and a preparation for our already selected athletes to go to the World Championships in November.
Okay.
Our list of our male and female athletes were selected much earlier on in the year. And we gave them both a regional competition and as well the Pan Am Championships to prepare. And from these events, that's as well how we select our national Sanda athletes from a contingent of events, not from one specific event. Our Sanda athletes are selected from a grouping of events, which is a little different than most countries.
Okay. But is Taolu, is it selected off that one national championships?
It is. The Taolu is selected off one, and it's in our plans, but we actually plan on making it not so much anymore. We actually do believe that, especially with the World Championships being a biannual event, is that it's more appropriate to select them off multiple events rather than off singular events.
Yeah, I always felt like that too. Like maybe they're like sick or something that week and like they couldn't perform that well. It's like, is that fair?
Exactly. It's one of those things where when we look at athlete development, is you're looking at more of a long range rather than a single event performance based. So those are things that we are looking at for the future, which is in part how we develop and select our Sanda team.
Okay. All right. Let's end this interview with talk about stunts and filming. And can you talk about that? What do you do exactly?
Of course. Well, because of Wushu and obviously the martial arts, that's what got me involved into stunt work and filmmaking in the beginning. However, anyone who asks, it is not what it is all about. You have to know much more than just martial arts, much more than just Wushu, which is why I am so open-minded about martial arts and about all sports, because it is about physical activity. It is about improvement of oneself in all facets of physical development, right? That as a stunt performer, as a stunt coordinator, now at my stage in my career, is I do everything from scuba diving to motocross to motorcycles to mountain rock climbing, swimming, diving, everything physical. I love skiing.
Wow.
Like, you want to be adept, and Wushu is one ability that allows you to be good at many others. And that is, again, the whole meaning of what we've been discussing is somebody who trains in Wushu, they don't necessarily need to become a world champion. But by being good at Wushu, they are now so much better at everything else they do in life. By being good at Wushu, not necessarily a medalist, but being good at Wushu, they then become a great skier. They can become a great gymnast. They can become a great actor or a performer. Mm-hmm. So these things are very, very important. And because I'm in the industry of stunts and film, I see that all the time. We train actors and actresses. They're not Wushu champions, but why can they look like a champion on film?
Yeah.
That's important, right? Taking that is you're now allowing a whole new realm of appreciation for the Chinese martial arts.
Got it. So can you name drop some of your best work, I guess, movies or anything?
Well,
or
I'm sure everybody can go on IMDb and take a look at my resume there, right?
Yeah.
but more notably, of course, I worked with Brad Allen on Shang-Chi. He was the lead coordinator, and I was gratefully indulged with training Simu Liu to prep him for his task, or his enormous task at becoming Shang-Chi in Marvel's Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings. So I assisted Brad Allen in training and developing Simu for a good, I would say 2 to 3 months prior to him going to LA to prep him in his introduction to Wushu and how to develop his posturing, his movement skills, his rhythm into Chinese martial arts, Kung Fu and Wushu in particular. So that was very fun. Most recently, I can say I was coordinator for Avatar, which is coming out next year on Netflix.
Congratulations.
So that we can't talk too much about, but it's a very fun project and very challenging project that will really highlight, I believe, the martial arts, and it will take the appreciation of Wushu to a whole new level when viewers get to see that.
Nice. Wow, the Wushu community thanks you for bringing Wushu mainstream and all this. It's great.
No, it's a great appreciation and a very grateful opportunity that I've been given, both for developing Wushu and be able to, how do you say, grow and showcase Wushu to the world.
Yeah,
it's a very good opportunity.
Okay, this is fun. So I think you and I are both Wushu coaches, and maybe we could talk about Simu Liu. So from the very beginning, what was your take? Like, is he athletic? He's not flexible? How was it?
Definitely a bit of both. Because what's interesting is I've known Simu actually for quite a number of years because he's from Toronto, and as well, he indulged as well into the stunt community here in Toronto for film and television. So apart from being a great actor, he has always fiddled in the stunt side, doing tricking, doing backflips, being a physical athlete that he is. So when given that opportunity, Simu is very athletic. He learned very, very quickly. And most importantly, as what I say to all my athletes and actors that I train is, how much effort are you going to put in? Is if you're going to put in the effort, you will reap the rewards. And Simu was one of those individuals that gave it 100%, that he wasn't that flexible, but he worked his butt off and he worked hard in training his flexibility, which he attests that was probably the most difficult thing that he had to get used to at the beginning. But as a athlete, he was very quick to pick up the rhythm, which is very unique to Wushu, the timing, introducing him to a lot of Doilian and choreography, which was essential to what he needed for the role. But in speaking about him, he was a great athlete, great student, and put a lot of effort into his training, which
Okay.
got him to where he is.
Nice. Are we talking about where your first day? You're like, we're gonna do some wushu punches and palms, and then some
We
staff, or
went
we're like,
we went pretty quickly into it
yeah,
because the difference between training an athlete and training a actor or a performer is time.
yeah,
Like I mentioned, you're given a certain amount of time, and actually it relates to our first discussion. You're given a certain amount of time, but with an actor, you can't put them directly through that pain. You gotta have some rest time. It's a little different in that approach. But Simu bared through a lot. He was in pain after day one, came back day two, kept going, kept going.
nice.
And his professionalism and his approach is this is his job. Just because it hurts one day, it doesn't mean you don't go to work the next day. He went to work. So
Nice.
he worked really hard, and it was a lot faster. When we train actors, you don't have the time to go through Gong and basics. No, you got to jump right into it. This is what you need, and this is how you're going to train to get to where you need to be. So the approach is a little different when we train on film and on set.
Yeah.
But you dive right into it.
When you say like this is what you need, what was that for him? Is like Dwayne, you had that fight
Yeah,
choreography.
main thing is what we call range of motion.
Mm.
Your training range of motion. That is very unique to Wushu in the sense of how your posture is, how your rhythm is, your timing. And when we talk about range, it's the difference between being able to punch like this, being able to open up your movements and develop that flow. So range of motion is the basis of Wushu. Why we do the arm wheels, why we do the Fan Yu. It's not so much in terms of application, it's range of motion. So
Okay.
that is a term that all Wushu practitioners should really utilize. It's maximizing your agility through range of motion. So that's what he needed, because in order to prep him to do the choreography, to do the posture, to have the visible appreciation that you are a Kung Fu master, you have to have that range.
Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself working with him again in the future? Or
whenever opportunity arises,
yeah,
like over the years, I've worked with so many actors, and I know Simu. He's much more than just action
mm-hmm.
actor.
Yeah.
He is very much in his repertoire a dramatic actor, a comedic actor. So he has so much on his plate. We'll see what comes in the future, but at the end of the day, film and television opens the doors to many opportunities.
Okay. Great. All right. Quickly, rapid questions, and then we'll be done here.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your time. Favorite wushu weapon?
Spear.
Oh, the king of weapons, huh?
I have always been a spear person, always my best results, and my favorite.
Okay. Favorite place to travel?
Right now, warm, sunny Caribbean Sea.
Very nice. Favorite wushu moment ever?
That's a story.
Okay.
That's a little story.
We got time.
1997 World Championships.
Yeah.
I scored a silver medal in the spear routine after going to the World Championships with no coach, learning off and VHS. I was deducted for doing an extra flower in my routine and went from a silver medal mark and dropped to the bottom. But my most impressionable moment of my wushu career is when head judge Wu Bin added as much marks as he could to raise my mark back.
Oh.
But still couldn't do anything, and came to me after the competition and apologized that he could not do anything else, and that my routine deserved the silver medal.
Oh. Wow.
That is my most memorable and appreciative moment in wushu training.
Wait,
and
were you doing
why? What's that?
Were you doing a compulsory routine? Why did it have to be 5 flowers?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it had to be 3. But before that, they were not, how do you say, they were not specific.
Okay.
And because I did not have a coach, I didn't have anybody go to the coach meeting for me. So we weren't informed of these things, right? But like I said, that is why as a coach and as a organizer, it means so much to me to develop athletes and participants. It's not the meaning of the medal. It's what the meaning of the event is. And it's because of lessons like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
What color of silk wins?
I saw this in one of your videos before. I personally still like white and gold.
Okay.
Okay. I like a white base. I like a white base.
Love that. Most important thing in someone's Taolu, I guess, for you.
Their combat expression.
Okay.
Their ability to showcase in Taolu their understanding of Wushu application. That is what I stress the most and is essential for Taolu. Because as a stunt coordinator, it has to look real and it has to look applicable in order for it to be good. That is most important.
How do you do that for every single move, though? Like, just use your imagination, or you just know?
Not quite. As a athlete, if you can tell me how you would use every move in your form, you have succeeded.
Okay.
And you should be able to. In one way or another, you should be able to.
Love that. So even this, block the spear and spear palm his throat.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You got to do it with intent.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. Any last advice for anybody listening or watching?
I think that we've covered a lot. Thank you, Roger, for having me. And I continue to promote and encourage everybody. Keep up your training, work hard, and Kung Fu is hard work.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Sifu Allen. Appreciate you so much and hope to see you again. It's great we've crossed.
At the 16th World Wushu Championships. I hope to be there.
Okay, great. We hope to see you too. All right. Thank you, everybody. This is Alan Tang, and thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody watching, and thanks for supporting everything we're doing here. All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.